That's what this podcast is here for, to remind you that you're not stuck, you're not behind, and you're definitely not out of options. And so here's what I did, and I hope that you can take a page out of my book. I realized I had options. I didn't even know what they were. I just realized that I could do it a different way. And so I looked around to see who was actually doing something similar to what I wanted to do. And honestly, back in 2008, the only thing that I could find was Weight Watchers. And so I joined it. But I didn't go for the program. I went as a student of business. I went to basically copy what they were doing. And I took notes on everything, how they enrolled me, what the contract looked like, how they ran their meetings, how they kept people coming back. I paid attention to the details, not just the point system, but the actual details. And then I modeled my very first coaching program after what I experienced and what I saw them do. And so maybe there's someone you're watching right now feeling a little bit envious, like you want their business, you want their life. Here's my advice. Don't just listen to what they're saying. Look under the hood. What are they actually doing? How do they structure things? How do they connect with people? Model it. There's no reason you can't. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. I had no clue if what I had created would work, but honestly, it was better than what I was doing before, which was a whole lot of nothing. And here's the thing, it's 2025. The world has most definitely changed since 2008. So even if you're in a traditional role right now, maybe you're a teacher, a nurse, a stylist, you're working in an office, there are more options than you had before. Maybe you've been secretly dreaming of starting your own business, or you're craving just more flexibility, more impact, more control over your life, more freedom. Women are starting businesses at record rates. We're leading, we're innovating, and we're refusing to settle for the old rules that never really worked for us anyway. The workforce is not what it used to be, and honestly, that's a really good thing. And so whether you want to build something online or have a side gig or just explore what else is possible, there's so much choice out there. You don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to keep choosing between your own ambition to have a career or impact or to be successful and being present in your life. The options are out there. And if you're listening to this, you're already ahead of the curve. So I want to talk numbers for a second, because this isn't just a vibe, it's a movement. And as of 2025, women are starting businesses faster than ever before. In fact, women-owned businesses now make up nearly 43% of all businesses in North America. And that number keeps climbing every year. According to recent data, over 1,800 new women-owned businesses are launched every single day in the US alone. And it's not just about starting a traditional brick and mortar business anymore. The options for earning income have exploded. So I thought it would be helpful to just share a few ways that you could start a business if that's something you want to do in 2025. So of course you can take a page out of my book and become a coach or even a consultant in something that you have expertise in. Maybe you have expertise in your own family with logistics. Or for example, maybe you have a child who has ADHD and you've navigated the school system and you want to start a consulting business for other families in your town who are also navigating the school system. Why wouldn't you do that? That's like a tutor. You're tutoring other families. Of course you can do that. Or of course, creating an online coaching program. Or you can just do digital products. You can create courses, ebooks, templates, memberships. You create it one time and you sell it over and over again. You could do freelancing. Maybe you have a background as an editor or a designer, or you're a teacher and you want to do freelance tutoring. You could do that over Zoom. Maybe you have an admin background. Maybe you came from HR. You can do virtual assisting. You can support people in their online businesses with operations or e-commerce. Maybe you've always wanted to have an Amazon storefront or create something and sell it on Etsy or Shopify, or even Instagram shops or TikTok if you're in the United States. Or you can become a content creator and start a podcast or a YouTube channel or even a blog. As outdated as that sounds, it's not. Social media influencing, even with micro audiences less than 1,000 to 2,000, brands are paying for their products to be shared on your content. Or even a hybrid model, combining in-person and online services, virtual fitness classes, telehealth, group programs. The point is that in this day and age, you don't just have to fit into one box. And the concept that there is one career for your entire life, that's over. And so it's good to explore your options. You can mix, you can match, you can create a career or even a side business that actually works for your life. Whether you want to go all in on your own or, like I said, start a side business or just earn extra income on your terms, the opportunities for you are out there. I launched my first coaching program in 2009. I enrolled 12 women. I charged $297, so I made $3,564. And honestly, I thought I had made it. I was like, this is a lot of money. I had earned that in like 2 hours. And within 2 years, I had my weight loss coaching program in 9 different gyms and had it licensed to 24 practitioners across Canada. Did I know about how to license? No. But did I take a class in licensing? No. I just made it up. I literally Googled everything. I Googled how to license your IP, how to create a licensing contract. I'm not kidding when I say I Googled everything from client contracts to sales scripts to how to handle clients that challenged me. I had no clue what I was doing, but I didn't care. I just kept putting one foot in front of the other and figuring it out as I went. And I know that I'm not the only one doing this. Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, says, "Don't be intimidated by what you don't know. That can be your greatest strength and ensure that you do things differently from everyone else." That quote has been one of my mainstays. Don't be intimidated by what you don't know. Because I didn't know anything. And if I stopped and thought about it, the fact that I didn't know what I was doing, the fact that I had no idea if what I was doing was the right thing to do, would have paralyzed me. It would have paralyzed me. And for a long time, almost a decade, I felt ashamed of that. But even after I loosened up, I was still different. I wanted more for my life. I didn't want to belong to this cult of average, the people who just settle for what life gives them, and they call that normal. And honestly, I've been fired from more jobs than I can count, and deep down, I knew that I needed to pave my own way. I valued my health. I move my body. I wasn't out getting drunk every weekend, and no judgment if that's your thing, but that just wasn't me. I was different, and for a long time, I thought that that was a problem. But here's what I've learned. Being different is my superpower. And it took me years to realize that, but the very things that make me feel like an outsider are the things that have set me apart and gave me the drive to build something on my own terms. There's plenty of people who don't like the way that I live. And that's okay. I don't like the way that they live. They have a different preference for living and working and being than I do. And that is totally okay. They're allowed to have a different preference and a different set of standards and norms for their life. That doesn't mean that I or we are doing anything wrong. It's just a different preference. And so if you're listening to this, you likely have a different preference. Your preference is probably more like mine. And maybe you feel like an outsider. Maybe you feel different. Maybe you haven't given yourself full permission to lean into it yet, but deep down, you know. You know that you're meant for more, you feel it. Maybe you've always been the one who asks too many questions or feels things too deeply or who dreams bigger than what's normal in your circle. And maybe you've been told over and over and over again that you're too sensitive, you're too loud, you're too much of a dreamer, you're not grounded in reality, you have too much energy. I was actually on a coaching call the other day and a grown woman, smart, successful, incredible, apologized for her energy. She said, so sorry. I know I'm a lot. I just thought, oh, we're still doing this in 2025? We're still apologizing for who we are in 2025? Maybe let's just not do that anymore. Why are we still apologizing for being too much of something or not enough of something else? Why do we keep shrinking ourselves to fit into these boxes that were never really made for us in the first place? The world doesn't need more women who play small. That is the opposite of what needs to happen. The world doesn't need more women who try to blend in. What is needed are women who are willing to be different, who are willing to take up space, to own their quirks and their power and their all too muchness. That's where the magic is.